Hey sis, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to get rid of belly fat. As some of you guys may know, I started my weight loss journey and I was a little bit chunkier, and I have found a way to get rid of a total of 50 pounds of belly fat altogether. And in this video, I'm going to share exactly how I did that and exactly how you could do that as well. The first thing I made sure to pay attention to was making sure I was in a calorie deficit, but in a way that feels normal and that feels easier for me. You get what I mean? So how I did that was I realized that belly fat reduces only when your body burns more fat than it takes in. Okay, that means you don't have to eat super duper underneath your maintenance, but all you're doing is making sure you're burning off more fat than you are consuming. It's a lot easier than we think. The average person, once they start working out, they are naturally going to be in a calorie deficit because they don't realize it, because their body's not used to working out, but they're naturally burning off more fat than they are consuming. You get what I mean? So it's a lot easier than it sounds. But some ways that you could help with that is portion controlling, making sure that your plates are proportioned. Okay, try a little bit of smaller portion sizes. I'm not saying undereat, but just making sure your meals are portioned. Swap high calorie snacks for protein or even fruit. I literally stocked up on a bunch of fruit and also a lot of protein with my meals. Eating protein with my meals naturally filled me up so I wouldn't be as hungry throughout the day. I was not skipping meals though. I was still eating 3 meals a day, but it helped me snack a little bit less because my meals were filled with actual protein. When I'm talking protein, I'm talking about stuff like chicken, I'm talking about turkey, I'm talking about fish. Those are all protein meals. So a lot of people think that eating healthy means you're just under eating, when in reality you're really not. You're just eating clean meals. You're not eating processed foods. Also replacing those processed foods with meals, like I said, baked chicken with a side of veggies, with a side of a healthy carb. Replace processed foods with those type of meals 3 times a day, and you'll see and you'll notice how the belly fat slowly starts to melt away. Avoid eating just to eat. Eat to fuel your body. When you're hungry, of course, eat. But you ever just eat out of boredom? I want you guys to stop doing that, okay? A lot of the times when we're bored, we just eat. But most of the time, we're probably just thirsty for some water. I always say this, but when I was younger, I always heard the saying, you're not hungry, you're just thirsty. And I honestly go stand by that when I say you're really not hungry, you're just thirsty. That's why I always say it's good to drink water with each meal that you consume, because water is like the cherry on top. It kind of fills you up after that meal. It's like, okay, I don't need dessert right now because that water was like the cherry on top. I'm full now. It's not stuffed, but I'm full. You know what I'm saying? You know that feeling. And always remember that belly fat is the first to grow and the last to go. Okay, so focus on consistency more than speed because it takes time. I have a lot of people who tell me that the belly fat is taking so long to go away, and that's honestly normal. That's one of the last parts of fat to go. But just keep going along the journey and stay consistent with yourself. Stay consistent with your healthy meals and your workouts, and trust me, it'll slowly melt away. Focus on just your consistency and the work you're putting in, other than just focusing on getting the results so quick and fast, because trust me, they will come in due time. You can't rush it. The next thing I did was movement every single day. Aiming for 10K to 20K steps a day is literally the secret fat burning method, okay? So I'm gonna do a video on this also about how once I started walking is really when my body started transforming. I'm talking about I kept my curves, okay? I might put a little like video of my body up here, you know, but walking really helped me with that. Now, of course, you could add in HIIT workouts as well, like the workouts I post on my page. I do those also. But when it comes to like daily movements, I like to focus on walking, and I do HIIT workouts twice a week, but most of the time I'm walking. I mix strength training in with my walking though. So I'll do strength training, for example, like squats, lunges, hip thrusts for my legs, but I end that with a 30-minute walk or 10K to 20K steps. But I like to just do a 30-minute walk on a treadmill. That's like a mile. Some people do more than a mile a day. I just keep it simple like that. Especially if you're a beginner, I always say aim for 10-minute walking a day if you're new to working out, and slowly work your way up. You don't have to go into it doing something super intense if you're not used to it. Do something that's easier on your body and slowly work your way up, okay? This is a journey. This is a process. You don't have to be perfect as soon as you start. You can slowly work your way up to get the results you want. It's not a race, okay? Just go at your own pace, okay? Don't look at these other influencers and think just because they're doing something at a certain pace that you have to be doing it at that exact same rate. Even with the workouts I post, if during my workouts you need to take a break, pause the video and take a break, okay? Don't beat yourself up for that, because everybody's body's different and everybody's at a different level within their fitness journey. So always remember that when you see somebody else everybody's at a different level within their fitness journey. It doesn't mean you're below them. It just means that you are just starting out, and that's normal. Even if you're not just starting out, your body is different. Everybody is different, okay? So just don't be hard on yourself when it comes to that. Also, I tried to add in workouts that I enjoy. I talk about this a lot, but doing forms of movement that you enjoy help you become more consistent. Now, if you're the type of person, like I always say, if you just hate working out, I'm not saying don't work out at all. But I always say do a workout that's the least miserable for you, okay? So if you are the type of person where you hate running, try walking. If you hate lifting heavy, try lifting a little bit lighter, or invest in resistance bands. If you hate lifting heavy but you want to gain like muscle, invest in resistance bands. Do squats with resistance bands, or do a lighter dumbbell instead of doing a heavy dumbbell. You get what I mean? There's always ways around it, and there's always ways you can compromise. Just because someone else is doing something different does not mean you have to do that exact same thing, okay? This journey is supposed to be something that we enjoy, okay? The process is enjoyment. Yes, we want results, but we also want to be happy while we're on the process to getting those results. Why do we want to be miserable on the journey? No. If you're miserable throughout it, that means once you get to your results, you're going to fall off because you're just waiting to get the results so you could finish it. The process should be, okay, I'm ready to get the results, but I want to enjoy it on the way to the results. So that way, once I get the results, I'll be able to keep them, and I won't fall off because I actually enjoy this. It's something I'm looking forward to doing. Some other forms of cardio you can add though are jump ropes, incline walking, like I said. You could do dance style workouts. You could also do the Stairmasters if you're at a gym, the elliptical machine. I had some people comment saying that they don't have certain machines at the gym. Any form of cardio is fine, okay? If it's not walking, you could do any form of other cardio. I just always recommend walking for the people who are beginners or people who don't like doing super intense things. But you could still do HIIT workouts, you could still do jump rope, you could still do all those forms of cardio workouts for your cardio, whichever one works for you, whichever one you enjoy. There was a point in time where I was doing a lot of dance workouts, and I might get back into it next week, like for myself. I was doing a lot of dance style workouts because I genuinely enjoyed it. And then I switched it up and started walking. I literally switch it up every other month, honestly speaking, just based off my mood. So you could do that too. That keeps the fitness journey kind of fun. It keeps it not feeling stale or boring, just switching it up every once in a while. Just giving yourself new stuff to do, new challenges, add new goals in, not just the physical, okay? Of course, the physical, getting rid of the belly fat is the main goal, but on your way to that goal, add in challenges within your workout. So say, okay, my goal is to get to 30 minutes on the treadmill, or my goal is to get to 10 minutes on the Stairmasters. Little goals like that make the process a lot more fun and just helps you stay consistent because you have something else to work towards. On the days that you're not seeing the results you want to see, you can at least set little tiny goals based off of your performance, so that way you could have, like, you know, accomplishments based off that instead of focusing so much on the physical, okay? Also want you guys to stay off that scale for at least the first 2 months, because what do I always say? The scale is not always going to tell you exactly where you are, okay? The scale is going to tell you your weight, but that does not dictate how much work you're putting in, or even if you're even getting results, because everybody's body is proportioned differently. You could literally be losing belly fat but maybe still be the same weight for now because it didn't distribute yet. You get what I'm trying to say? It's all just based off of timing and also just like genetics and just how your body's set up and your proportions. So I always say don't focus too much on the scale. Focus on your performances, like I said, and just overall how you're feeling within the workouts and your meals you're eating, the sleep you're getting, your routine. All of that is what really matters in the end. I touched on this a little bit a few segments ago, but I'm going to touch on it again. Make sure you're adding in strength training 2 to 3 times a week, because the more muscle you have, the faster your metabolism is, even while you are resting. Focus on compound movements like squats, deadlifts, lunges, hip thrusts. Those type of movements really isolate muscles and also helps with your glutes overall. But you want to make sure you're focusing on strength training as well as cardio, not just one or the other. If you're the type of person, like I said, who doesn't want to lift super heavy, there's ways you could do strength training without heavy weights. If you want to just do body weight strength training, you could just use your body for the weights. Or I always recommend though, just lighter weights. So try to invest in a 5-pound or a 10-pound dumbbell and just do higher reps. So instead of doing 3 sets of 10, try 3 sets of 20. Since you're doing lighter weights, you still want to gain that muscle. So there's ways you could do this without overworking yourself or lifting super duper heavy. If that's just not what you are into, trust me, I understand, because I used to lift super duper heavy, and then when I started working out from home, I'm like, you know what, I don't really feel like doing all that right now. So I literally use a 20-pound dumbbell, and I still have muscle, you know what I mean, because I'm just upping the reps and I'm still using a dumbbell. So always recommend investing in a dumbbell, a lighter size dumbbell for my girlies who want to work out from home and just do quick, simple stuff. There's ways you could do it. Also, add in ab workouts, but do not rely on ab workouts to burn fat in a certain area. Ab workouts will only help build muscle in that area. It's not going to help you burn the fat off. So it doesn't matter how many crunches you do, that does not equate to losing fat in that area. The way you can lose fat in that area is by being in a calorie deficit, okay? That's how you're losing fat in that area. A calorie deficit with cardio and strength training, of course, but that is really how you lose fat in that area. It's not based off of just doing a bunch of crunches and sit-ups. But that does help build muscle, so once you do lose the fat, it looks a little bit more defined and you'll see the muscles poking through, which we call abs. The next thing you need to do is to fix your nutrition without dieting, okay? So 80% of this fat loss battle is tackled in the kitchen. I know it sucks to hear that, but it really is the 80% kitchen, 20% workouts, and that sucks. I hate that. But it's actually not as hard as it seems. Focus on adding fiber and protein. Those are the two main things. I'm going to give you guys some examples of that. Chicken, eggs, Greek yogurt, tofu, and salmon are great examples of high protein meals. So for my vegans, tofu, you could season tofu and make tofu however you want to make it. Just search that up on Google. I'm not a vegan. I'm not a vegetarian. I tried it once, but I couldn't do it, but that's besides the point. But those are all high protein meals. And you heard how I said eggs, you can have that in the morning. I always recommend breakfast starting off with protein because this keeps you fuller throughout the day, so you won't really be hungry until lunchtime, so you won't spend your time snacking on a bunch of stuff, a bunch of junk food. Some example of fibers are veggies, berries, oatmeal. This helps improve your digestion and helps with bloat. Trust me when I say this, when I was not doing any veggies, I have a hard time digesting my food. It's hard to come out, if you know what I mean. I'm a lady, so let me not say too much, but just know it's hard to digest when you're not eating vegetables. So if you're having a hard time just digesting food and you notice you have gut issues, most of the time it's probably because you are not consuming enough veggies or not drinking enough water or both, okay? You want to make sure each meal you have has some veggies in it, okay? Well, I think it's like the fist. This is like protein. The palm right here is like veggies, and then this is fat, something like that. But yeah, just make sure you are having veggies within each and every meal, okay? You want to make sure you have something green on it. Try to get a veggie that you actually enjoy. You could do the same veggies every single day that you enjoy. You don't have to do a bunch of different ones. My go-to veggie is string beans or cucumbers, honestly speaking, if I want to have salad. So if I'm eating chicken or something, I'll do that with a side of string beans, and I might do a salad. But those are like the two main veggies I like. And also those are the two main veggies that don't make me super gassy, because sometimes, you know, veggies do that to us. So those are my go-tos, and I do the same vegetables, and I'm healthy. My digestion is good. Everything is smooth and running, and I eat the same veggies over and over. It does not matter. It doesn't matter if you have to do the same things. It doesn't matter. You're still eating healthy, nourishing foods. Think to yourself, how can I nourish myself and still enjoy foods, okay? So now I'm going to talk about the things we have to cut out. I wrote a little list of it. I know this is not the funnest part, but here we go. Cut down on sugar, alcohol, fried foods, because they feed belly fat and bloating, okay? If you're noticing that you're not losing any belly fat, but you're always going to Chick-fil-A, or you're always drinking alcohol or sodas, that is a high factor of why it's not going away. Sodas have so much sugar in it. Processed foods have a lot of fat in it. That naturally low-key stores in your stomach area, okay? And that's where the fat usually is stored. So try to cut down on those things. I'm not saying you can't do it at all, but if you could cut back on it, please try to cut back on it. Have it in moderation. 80-20 rule. 80% of the time you're on it. 20% of the time, you know, you might be able to snack a little. You might be able to have a little fast food. But you want to make sure most of the time you're doing high protein meals. You're drinking water. You're not really doing sugar every single day. That's not even just for the outside look of it. That's also for your health, okay? We don't want to consume too much sugar and processed foods, because that's terrible for our insides and just our overall health. We don't want any health scares when we go to the doctor. So that's why I always recommend eating a healthy, consistent diet full of high protein and fiber. Trust me, this is very, very important. Did you guys know that sleep and stress control your hunger hormones and your belly fat storage hormones, which means we want to make sure we are getting sleep, and we want to make sure that we are controlling our stress. Now, I understand as a person, you guys might work, you guys might have kids, but it's always important to at least try to get enough sleep. If you can go to sleep a little bit earlier than you're normally doing it, do that. If you know that you're spending most of your night scrolling through your phone and you could get a little bit of extra sleep, do that. I understand if you're the type of person where, well, I work late and I get home late and then I have to wake up early in the morning. I get that 100%. But try to do whatever you could do to at least get a little bit more sleep than you normally would get. Just try to compromise and fit ways in there to at least take care of your mental health. Working out is of course a great way to do self-care, but you want to do stuff outside of that as well. I got into reading, I got into journaling, I got into drawing, and that helped my inner peace and just my mental. I had to step away from it. Sometimes we're so wrapped up in our careers and just fitness that we think, okay, that's our stress relief. But you have to have a stress relief outside of that, because sooner or later you're going to get burnt out. You're going to need a way to escape. So find something that helps you escape, that's not just working out, or that's not just doing something towards your career. That's perfect. That's a great stress relief too, but you need something outside of that that's just for you and that actually is for your relaxation. Even if that's just meditating, even if that's just getting a nap in for at least an hour a day, that's fine too. Whatever you can find that helps your stress. I also noticed that I love watching movies. That helps me calm down completely. Doing stuff like that, watching movies, spending time away from my phone, spending time away from scrolling through social media, because a lot of the times people just compare themselves on social media all the time, and I find myself doing that too by mistake. So I know other people do it as well. And it's the worst thing when you're on your journey and you're just starting your fitness journey, scrolling through Instagram, comparing yourself to other people who are 5 years into their fitness journey. And that's what I used to do. I was comparing my 1 month body of fitness to a person who's been working out for like 6 years. That's not realistic, and that's just not it. For one, everybody's body is different. So comparing yourself is not going to make it any better. It's not going to help, okay? So just always keep that in mind when you are, along this journey, or when you are scrolling through Instagram, or even looking at other people for advice. Keep that in mind too. Everybody's body is different. You're not here to compare. You're here to just get tips from them and maybe get inspired, but you're never here to compare yourself to anybody else, because everybody is made differently. So remember that. You are made differently. So I wrote down a little reminder for you guys that I wanted to say word for word. So here you go. Belly fat doesn't happen in a day, but it does happen. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to stop giving up, stay patient, track your wins, and be the woman who follows through, okay? So really just follow through with your word and understand that nobody is perfect, so you don't have to be perfect along this journey. Just celebrate yourself. Celebrate the small wins you make every single step of the way, okay? Waking up early could be a smaller win. Getting a workout in that day is a win. Stuff like that. Really celebrate the smaller wins, because it'll make you feel so much better when you really get to that bigger win, and it'll help you stay motivated throughout this journey, okay? So I really hope that video was helpful for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please do not forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And next time, starting in these new videos, I will get a mic, and I will also have a background. I'll start doing my videos in my living room. Right now, I just be doing them standing up, like with just the background like that. But I will start to get a whole setup for you guys, so it's kind of like more aesthetically pleasing maybe, because I'm really just focused on giving good information, but I also want to make sure that I'm elevating my brand and really leveling up with you guys as we grow. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.